It doesn't work that way. I'd like that because I've got to think that all over the hood in Kendall that A-Rod comes from, there are preachers all over looking at Stephen A's style and saying, yes, I recognize the whisper, the tone cadences, the changes in the delivery, but no one's ever gone with totally soft, have they? I love the idea of whispered analysis as Billy and Stugotz have to take us into Chris Mad Dogs Russo's world because they were watching the last 40 minutes of First Take, and I came into the room where they were watching it, and they looked like they'd been beaten up, the two of them. Like, evidently, Mad Dog Russo is better in 5-minute spurts than 40-minute spurts because you guys looked like you've been beaten up by First Take. You looked tired.
It was exhausting. Billy will give us an update here, but Mad Dog had the full complement of newspapers. He doesn't have a computer. He had a Daily News, a Newsday, New York Times sports section only. He had a New York Post, and he had a Detroit Free Press, inexplicably.
So he does not have a computer. Mad Dog's still doing it the old-fashioned way on research. We will go to Billy in a second, but do you think this character has legs, Amin, the guy who whispers his takes?
Well, yeah, I mean, we did this for years, right? The sports whisperer.
Yeah.
Isn't that someone who, I guess he didn't whisper takes, he whispered advice?
Secrets.
No. What I whispered was the truth, okay? It's the truth. It's the things that people don't want to acknowledge, but they really did happen. That's what I would do.
But the sports whisperer was somebody who, behind the scenes, for example, would have been orchestrating for Tom Brady how to get rid of Bruce Arians. Something that we surmised as a show with no facts whatsoever, just mysterious circumstances. The sports whisperer would tell you what the secret truth was, and it would be whispered. That's not the same of what we're talking about here, which is you having strident opinions that are whispered.
Yeah, well, sports whisperer. Well, I think he still was an advice giver because remember, there was the most important line was always, "Here's what we're gonna do," right? Like just to plan it out how this whole thing was gonna go. But as far as what you're talking about, what I just did, I would argue that Stephen A. Smith does do that. He does that. That's part of the cadence of you start loud and then you bring it down very, very quietly. You mean to tell me that LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook can't make the play-in tournament? This is a catastrophe. A catastrophe that was first reported on Basketball Illuminati on March 16th, 3 weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen. Basketball Illuminati, Basketball Illuminati, Basketball Illuminati. Say it 3 times to keep your third eye open. This is the podcast you need to be subscribed to. It's produced by Anthony Mays. It's me and Tom Habishow, and we go about telling the truth, revealing, exposing the dark underbelly of the league. And we not only did we tell you 3 weeks ago that the Lakers wouldn't even make the play-in, but on this week's episode with special guest Big Waz from The Ringer, we tell you who the next coach of the Lakers is going to be. That's right.
Well,
Basketball Illuminati.
This is the thing that people need to understand. It's not just because you're saying you said it 3 weeks ago. You guys called it when it happened. You guys said, both of you did, the Westbrook trade, as soon as it happened, they're better off with anybody who's not him. This is not addition by addition. They'd be better off if they subtracted triple-double MVP guy. I want to get your take on what Magic Johnson did on First Take the other day, but I also want to tell the audience.
I want to know who the next coach of the Lakers is going to be.
Give it up.
It's going to be, okay, well, Basketball Illuminati is where you can find
I know, but
that.
I'm not going to listen.
And that's, you should go to it for a number of different reasons. That is one of them. But that's not even the best news that we have on the Amin podcast front today. You guys are going to be excited about this.
What happened?
Cinephobe is officially, I mean, you handle, if you want to be introduced, I just want the audience to know this is a big deal. Cinephobe is now a part of the LeBatard and Friends Network.
Hey, Amin, what's Cinephobe?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Chris. Cinephobe is the podcast where Zach Harper and I watch movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes and try to ascertain whether they are accurately poorly rated or perhaps didn't get a fair shake. That Cinephobe is produced by Anthony Mays, and you can get it wherever you get LeBatard podcast because we're part of the LeBatard family now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Fanfare. Anthony Mays. Billy, let's go out to the kitchen right now and get some live reporting.
I'm a little doggy on a Wednesday, Dano.
Mad Dog Russo. Billy, it's been a barrage.
Hey, Dan, it's Billy here in the kitchen. Right now, they're playing a piece about Jackie Robinson Day, so they're not arguing. So it's like a pre-taped thing that they went to. But just before that, Mad Dog asked Stephen A., would you put $1,000 on Tiger to win at 40-1? To which Stephen A. responded, this is Stephen A. $1,000 is not a big deal. So then he said, would you put something that would pinch your wallet on Tiger? To which Stephen A. said yes. Back to you.
Okay, that is the most recent reporting, but I've got some follow-up questions because back to you. You were beaten up. You were on the couch. You looked like you had been hit in the face with a speed bag. It's because you were enduring how much First Take?
It's Billy. So what was going on there was I couldn't even hear First Take because Stugotz was next to me reporting on what was happening with Mad Dog and First Take. So I was basically hearing Mad Dog, Stephen A., and Stugotz all arguing with each other, to which Stugotz just kept updating me on which newspapers in front of Mad Dog he could identify.
You couldn't do your job because Stugotz was being the target audience of Mad Dog and Stephen A. and arguing with the television next to you.
Yeah, and telling me what I should say, but I couldn't hear what he was telling me because Mad Dog was also screaming in my ear. So Stugotz could tell you all the newspapers that were in front of him. He then accused Stephen A. of taking a newspaper from Mad Dog just to try to keep up with Mad Dog.
Yeah.
And then we got into a debate as to whether or not Mad Dog owns a computer in his life. And we kind of settled that one thinking that he probably just bought his wife a Kindle because he heard about e-readers.
He's definitely got Newsday in front of him, right, Mad Dog?
Yeah,
Seems
Mad
like
Dog,
a big Newsday
he
guy.
had Newsday, he had the New York Post, he had the Daily News, and he had
USA Today.
And Detroit Free Press. He had that as well. But Stephen A., when they went to break, the first break, he had no newspapers next to him. And then when they came back from break, Russo had one less newspaper next to him,
Really?
and Stephen A. had one next to him. So what do you think happened?
Stole some of Mad Dog Russo's material there because he felt unarmed compared to all the newspapers that still haven't told me anything about what they did on the first hour of the show today, really.
They were debating whether or not Brian Cashman should still be blaming the Astros for cheating. That's what they were doing. And Russo said, give me a break, go win a World Series. You have the highest payroll in baseball besides the Dodgers. And Stephen A. agreed. It was weird. It was a weird thing.
Hold on. Quick question. So like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when they were doing radio, these guys had to have every copy of every newspaper and had to read through the entire sports section in order to do their morning show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It basically was
That
just the
sounds like
sport. It
hell.
was just the sports section regurgitated, right, and like turned into debate. That's essentially what sports radio was.
Amin, Hank Goldberg, whose show I produced.
This is why Stugotz came into my life, right here at the intersection of this. He's like, if LeBatard's writing all this in the newspaper and Hank's just stealing it all and making it that day's material, why don't I just put Dan on?
Every single day, Amin, he would read Dan's article or column, and then he would rip Dan to shreds for 4 hours. I mean,
Yeah, that's how it started in Miami. That's the only reason I wanted to do this. I wanted to fight. Like, I didn't have any interest in this. This is stupid.
This is Stugotz's ultimate grift of cutting out the middleman of Hank Goldberg and just putting Le Batard on the air.
I don't know if Hank Goldberg ever forgave Stugotz. Did he?
No. The hammer.
I mean, when you look at the interesting storylines as basketball playoffs approach here, what is the stuff that's gotten your attention? And we've been talking for a couple of days. Fans of these good teams in the league, how pissed off should they be about the fact that we're still talking about Durant and LeBron and these lower seeds a hell of a lot more than we are about like the excellent team in Phoenix?
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, when we talk about Durant, we're talking about an excellent player. And that's undeniable, regardless of where the Nets are seated. And, in fact, that makes them more interesting as a story. The idea that, hey, even though they're the 8 seed today and they might end up being 7 or 8 or whatever, nobody wants to play them. Nobody. None of the high seeds that we, quote-unquote, should be talking about. Not Miami, not Milwaukee, not the Celtics. Nobody wants to play the Nets, and it's all because Kevin Durant is that amazing. So I don't understand people kind of cringing at that one. As far as the Lakers go, look, we all love a Titanic. We all love when something huge sinks to the bottom of the ocean, like, and that's what the Lakers did, right? The Lakers flamed out. Thank you. Flamed out tremendously. And so that's going to be a story for the next few days. But once we get to Sunday and we start to figure out who's who and what's what, I think that's going to change, except for one storyline involving LeBron. And we talked about this on Basketball Illuminati, and I'll give you guys a taste of what it was. Right now, LeBron James is locked in a three-way tie, basically, for the league leader in scoring, right? It's him, it's Giannis, and it's Joel Embiid. As of today, Joel Embiid is at 30.4, LeBron is at 30.3, Giannis has slipped back a bit, 29.9. Now, the last day of the year, April 10th, they don't give you the times for the games because the league wants to figure out which games they want to put in prime time, whatever. Well, they released that this week. Milwaukee plays at 3:30 in the afternoon. Philadelphia plays at 7. When do the Lakers play?
Oh, you've got it.
9:30.
Basketball Illuminati, you're predicting an 81-point Kobe game from LeBron because he can shoot 50 times. They don't have anything else to play for. He comes back from a bad ankle to just win the scoring title.
But he needs to play 2 more games, I mean, right? He needs to play 1 more game before Sunday, right?
So he needs to play. So he's got a back-to-back. He's got a game, I believe, tonight. No, excuse me. Is it tomorrow night? Whatever. They've got another game. They got another 2 games.
Right.
And then Sunday's game. Right. So here's the deal. If you're LeBron, there's 2 things. One, you need to play 1 more game before Sunday, for sure.
To qualify.
But then once you play Sunday, once you hit Sunday, right, then you say to yourself, wait a second, how many points have they scored? Right? Because there's a world where Embiid and Giannis don't have good games. Their scoring average drops, and now LeBron's a scoring leader at 9:30 Eastern, and he's like, I don't need to play in this game. If he plays in these next 2 games, Stugotz, you're right. Thursday and Friday in this back-to-back he's got with the Warriors and then also the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Now, Amin, I want to open my third eye as well. The Lakers got eliminated last night against the Phoenix Suns. He wasn't on the court. Whereas he wants to take advantage of a matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you don't play against a difficult team who might ruin your chances to win the scoring title, and you don't have to be on the floor when the Lakers suffer the ignominy of being eliminated from the playoffs. And so you see the chance there for LeBron James to avoid any and all shame.
It's the first.
And
it's going to be the first time
also
that's
preserve
been
his.
said
I mean,
on
it's
the show.
a perfect opportunity for him.
It's a perfect storm, Woody, and we talk all about it on Basketball Illuminati. The concept that also last week's episode we talked about the idea that when NBA teams win or lose a game, there's always a Twitter post with an infographic, a picture of a player from the game, and then the score. And everyone wants to be on the winning one, but the losing one, we are delicate about who we put on that. Well, did you know that LeBron James is the only all-star, the only star in the league, really, to never appear on the losing infographic, right? Neither him nor Anthony Davis. Russell Westbrook recently appeared on his first one this week after Basketball Illuminati did their podcast or our podcast and our expose on that.
I can't believe that I asked you a question about the excellence of the other teams being bothered by the Nets and the Lakers, and you guys just, without paying any attention to it, just went right back to talking about the Lakers.
In the defense of the national media, is it not fascinating that the perhaps second or first greatest basketball player of all time is playing on a team that's 20 games under 500 and is missing the playoffs with another guy that was voted in to the top 70, or 2 guys that were voted in to the top 75 team of all time? Like, I have found this season from the Lakers relentlessly interesting because there is no jeopardy amongst the top 10 seeds, and so this is what passes for interesting. Like, I think the idea that LeBron, who is having a really good season at age 37, his 19th season in the league, is outlasting all of his peers and still is not making the playoffs because of, in some parts, his own decision-making. I do think that this is interesting and should be covered a lot. I understand from a basketball perspective, it kind of ceased to be interesting because there's not really a lot to break down.
No. It is interesting. From a basketball perspective, if he wins the scoring title, he'll be the oldest player in NBA history to win the scoring title. And that is something amazing, and it should be talked about. But from a story perspective, and Stugotz, you're going to love this one. I remember years and years ago, Mad Dog was on Costas This was maybe 2007, 2008. It was 2008, and they were talking about the New York media. Why is the New York media so negative? And Mad Dog looked at Bob Costas and he said, "I'm gonna be honest with you. The Giants, as a wild card, going and beating the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl, for us that was a 8 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10 story. The Mets being first in the division on August 1st and missing the playoffs, that is a 10 out of 10 story." And that's the truth. That's now applied to the national media. When we talk about what's happened to the Lakers, yes, the Suns are a great feel-good story, and they're so excellent, and they're deep, and they're probably going to win a title. But that's nowhere near as interesting as what Woody just said. The greatest player of all time, or perhaps top 3 greatest players of all time, playing awesome, and they're this bad, they're this putrid. This is a bigger story because we love to see the Titanic sink.
I mean, help us settle something
Stugotz,
here.
did you not see the cue of him going and
I
grabbing
did. I saw
the
it too
flute?
late. I did. I saw it late. Listen, I feel terrible about it. I do. You want to do it again? I mean,
No. I think it hit right in time.
I don't understand, though. I would have thought that the cue of him running
tell, no
and
doubt.
grabbing a flute like he wanted to make the sound
You're
before
right.
you asked the question.
I apologize.
So that he could get the joke. You're looking right at it.
I know.
It's a slide whistle, Dan. Fine.
Yep.
My bad.
$2. And the 50 from yesterday, you killed someone. It was Jack Nicklaus. Chasing Ghost. He's still alive. I mean, he's teeing up tomorrow at the Masters. I mean, help us settle something here, okay? Because, Dan, I like foreplay. Dan likes to get right to the sex, okay?
What?
He wants the Nets in the opening round for the Heat because he wants to be nervous. He wants everyone to be nervous, biting their fingernails. I want to start with a Plumlee. Who do you side with?
I mean, it all depends. If you're talking about it from the purposes of doing this show, obviously, I think an exciting first round is great. But we also recognize, Dan, that the best thing for the show is for the Miami Heat to stay in the playoffs as long as possible, right?
Boom.
So that we continue to have Miami talking points and we can go to the games and, rub shoulders and elbows and all those things. So,
rubbing shoulders.
What it's all about.
Rubbing
the
shoulders
postseason,
and elbows? What are we doing there? What is
It's almost impossible to rub a shoulder and not rub an elbow.
I feel it is how we shake hands during the pandemic is rub shoulders and elbows. What is that?
All you got to do is Stugotz, you put your elbow, tuck it back, and then you lean in with the shoulder. Now you're rubbing shoulders, no elbows. There you go. That's for the listening audience. I just described it.
I mean,
yes.
No, please continue.
No, I understand the point you're making, Dan, because why wait until the conference finals or whatever for Nets Heat? Let's see it right away. The problem there is that there's an inherent risk that it ain't going to go the way you want it to go. That the nail biting is not going to end with oh, thank God. It's going to end with, oh, my God, he did it. Kevin Durant's amazing. And you don't want that. So I'm going to have to side with Stugotz. Stugotz is right.
My father has always said the entirety of my life, better to live as a coward than die as a hero.
Right. Damn right.
That's right.
I agree.
I mean, in the East, are you willing to be the guy, as you've been so often in life, where you are the leader of Heat Island, where you are willing to take the Miami Heat when no one else is taking the Miami Heat? I do believe that the 1 seed is something that nationally is being viewed as that team's not going to win the title because 4 really, really good players isn't the same as the model I've seen win in that sport, which is I need a couple of top dogs.
See, here's the problem, Dan. People who say that, they're thinking very old world, very like, oh, what was the world like before pandemic and before the bubble and all that stuff? That doesn't exist anymore. So right now, today, because in the traditional way, yes, the 1 seed would play the 8 seed, and the 8 seed is the Nets. And oh my gosh, here come the Nets, and oh my gosh, we got to play Kevin Durant. What are we going to do? Right? That's not the world we live in anymore. Because once we get to the play-in next week, the Nets are going to have to play the Cavs 1 time. And if they beat them, they become the 7th seed. And then the Cavs have to play the winner of Hawks and Hornets. So really, there is an incentive to be the 1 seed because none of us believe that the Cavs, with so many injuries and it's such a young team and it's their first time, are going to be...
It's Billy. Things are getting heated on First Take.
Yes.
The question that prompted all of this was, how many great teams are there in the NBA right now? And they went straight to Mad Dog. And Mad Dog said there are 0 great teams in the NBA right now.
He's right.
And Stephen A. was taken aback. He had his hand, his face in his hand. And then Mad Dog said, take your hand off of your brow right now. And then immediately went to the 1978-1979 Sonics. Lost the NBA Finals to the Bullets. And then they started arguing about the 79 Supersonics. And then he said, do you think that this team is as good as the 1979 Supersonics? And Molly was getting upset that they weren't even going back to the 80s, that they went further back to the 70s. And then he said, if you think that this team is not even as good as the 79 Supersonics,
I got to look at this team.
they're not. They're not even that good. And that team was not a great team. So he was using a bad team as an example for what a great team was, and then he flipped the script on Stephen A. Then they started arguing about the Suns, and he just declared that the Suns center is overrated, but didn't mention him by name. Then they got into an argument about Chris Paul, and he said, you'll agree that Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer? He goes, yeah, he'll get in the Hall of Fame. He goes, but he had a horrible Game 5 last year. And then Stephen A. is like, well, that's just one game. And he said, you're not supposed to have bad games if you're a Hall of Famer. So then they went on to say that great teams, Dan, according to Mad Dog, need to have 3 Hall of Famers on them. And Stephen A. said, but I thought you didn't like super teams. He said, I hate super teams with multiple stars on them, but that's what makes a great team. Then they went on to argue as to whether or not Jay Crowder is a Hall of Famer, because that would be, I guess, the Suns' next great player.
Everyone gets in.
And then
Jay Crowder is not getting in.
He might.
Stephen A. went on to try to counter Mad Dog, saying that he listens to him every Wednesday morning when he's driving in, to which Doggy was screaming, you have an unfair advantage on this show. You hear all my thoughts before I come into the show. And then he declared that Phoenix was lucky to beat the Clippers last year. Back to you.
Okay, excellent reporting from the kitchen, Billy. Excellent.
Dog can watch First Take whenever he wants to get prepared. I love Doggy. He doesn't do that.
Yes.
4 days?
Yeah.
4 days a week?
By the way, Jack Sikma was the guy who led the team in minutes for the 79 Seattle Supersonics, and Paul Silas off the bench. How about that?
Big game
Gus
4.
Johnson?
Big game 4 in the Kingdom.
Yeah.
The Seattle Supersonics won that game 114-112. Jack Sikma playing 51 minutes. John Johnson playing 50 as well, as 2 of 6 from the field.
Thank you, Whittingham, for that report from a 1979. That was a bad Supersonics team. Yes, that's what Chris Mad Dog Russo was alleging. What was the record of that Supersonics team that he was referencing?
That team was 52-30, coached by Lenny Wilkins. And I think what he was saying is that team's as good as any team today, and you don't consider them to be a great team.
They weren't an all-time great team, was the argument.
Yes,
but still, the Suns are not as good as they were even.
I'm upset that you guys continue to reject my premise of a really good recurring bit, which is Hot Take Time Machine. We just did it right there, albeit kind of like sneering and making fun of Mad Dog. Hot Take Time Machine, where we pretend like that happened today and report it. We get Witty can give us the quick recap. Stugotz give us some hot takes. Dan, give us some societal things that were happening in 1979. This is a great bit, but you guys just rejected it.
It's like taking a topic back from the 70s, 80s, a big sports topic, and we just discuss it the way our show would.
But we tried it, and you kept throwing it to Stugotz, and you saw that off the cuff, like maybe as scripted material, but you saw that Stugotz was not going back to 1979 and ripping Jack Sikma's hair on the spot.
I would never do that. What a great head of hair.
Why would he hit?
Hey, it's Billy. So on that front, Stephen A. was saying how he knew that Phoenix was a great team headed into the season, to which Molly responded, didn't you say that the Warriors were a lock this year? Which he was not expecting to be called out on. And he said, if they were healthy, this is one of the greatest teams. But he knew that he had lost that battle to Molly right away. Back to you.
A loss, a rare loss that Stephen A. Smith knew but did not accept in the moment. You were saying before we interrupted you, though, Amin, on Mad Dog Russo's take that 4 great players is what the Heat have, but none of them are as great as the best in the at the top of the Eastern Conference.
None of them is as great as Durant. None of them is as great as Embiid, and none of them is as great as Giannis. But as far as like avoiding Durant, I don't think that's something that the Heat have to worry about, because I don't believe Brooklyn is going to lose in the play-in. I think they're going to end up being the 7. And so Miami gets to play Cleveland, who are, as I said, they're young and they're green and they've got injuries, and this is kind of their first go-around. You go up, you beat up on them a bit, then you play the 4-5. It's probably going to look like Philly and Toronto. And, and then that's a lot easier. I think the Heat right now at the 1 have a nice, easy path to the conference finals, barring something awful like the Nets coughing it up in the play-in or the Bucks dropping down to the 4 seed.
If they get the Sixers, you think that's going to be easy for them?
Yes, I think the Sixers. Look, basketball Illuminati, basketball Illuminati, basketball Illuminati. Say it 3 times, keep your third eye open. Go listen to this week's episode. The Sixers the fuse has been lit, the match is going off, and the sparks are going. This thing is blowing up, ladies and gentlemen.
Amin Elhassan is saying that's it for the Sixers. Didn't they just score 1 million points?
Sure, but the writing's on the wall. Read the tea leaves, Dan.
Yes,
Reading
of tea leaves.
Catch the vibes. Also, speaking of vibes, because today is the maiden voyage of Cinephobe on the LeBatard and Friends Network, I want to just do a quick promo for the episode we have this week because we saved something special for you guys. We are reviewing the lowest rated movie in the history of Cinephobe. Now, I know what people are thinking. I mean, you guys have done several 0% movies like Johnny Be Good, like Gotti, starring John Travolta as John Gotti.
Which had to be amazing. And just all
You'll
of
have to
it.
point it out every
when
time.
I still see one of the posters on a wall down here on South Beach of John Travolta as Gotti. And it just, what washes over me is a pandemic level sadness every time I see this poster.
Yeah, so we've done 0% movies before, several of them. But what we have never done is a movie that was 0% by the critics and 2% by the audience. That's right. Combine the two scores, you still have the lowest score in Cinephobe history at 2% of any movie we've ever done. It is a Nicolas Cage movie called Left Behind. Have you ever heard of it? Because I had never heard of it until I started watching it and didn't even know what the movie was on until midway through a hell of a twist happened. Has anyone heard of Left Behind starring Nicolas Cage?
Right now, I see Chris
So
Matador Russo. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. He's just screaming at us
Oh, my
right now.
God.
We'll go to Billy in just a second. But Cinephobe, I've
never seen it, by the way.
I saw a trailer for a movie that is right down Stugotz's alley that I believe you will be reviewing in about, it's just in theaters now, I think, but in 3 days you will be reviewing Father Stu by Mark Wahlberg. God wanted a fighter, and he found one.
Oh, I'm there.
Father Stu with Mark Wahlberg.
I am there.
God wanted a fighter, and he found one because all our action stars are now 50 years old, and Mark Wahlberg is a fighting priest, warrior for God.
Would you like to hear the synopsis?
Please.
All right. When an injury ends his amateur boxing career, Stuart Long moves to Los Angeles to find money and fame. While scraping by as a supermarket clerk, he meets Carmen, a Sunday school teacher who seems immune to his bad boy charms. Determined to win her over, the longtime agnostic starts going to church to impress her. However, a motorcycle accident leaves him wondering if he can use his second chance to help others, leading to the surprising realization that he's meant to be a Catholic priest.
Riveting.
Not yet reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes as it comes out next weekend. So I guess we'll find out next weekend if it's eligible for Cinephobe.
Before we go back to Billy, though, people need to subscribe if they have not already. Cinephobe, we love it as a property. We have loved it as a property, but it coming over is a big deal because we enjoy doing these reviews of pretty terrible movies that Stugotz tends to like. and you're telling us that this one is worth listening to because that 2% is what grabbed you.
Yes. Well, I mean, it was selected by Zach Harper, who is a terrorist on the highest level when it comes to picking these movies. He loves Nicolas Cage, and there are a lot of Nicolas Cage movies that qualify, but he decided to pick the one that had the worst score that we've ever done ever. And let me tell you guys, this movie does not disappoint. It absolutely lives up to that 2%. I can't urge you to watch the movie, but I do urge you to listen to the podcast because that's the beauty of Cinephobe. The worse the movie, the better the episode.
Amin, we will get you out of here, not speaking of excellence, but speaking of what's going to happen in Los Angeles. There were reports this week of people expecting Anthony Davis to be traded that I assume are born just of they don't have other trade pieces, so they've got to consider something if they want to keep LeBron next year.
Yeah, well, pretty much the only tradable assets they have are LeBron and Anthony Davis. Everyone else is either not living up to their contract or not making enough money to be deemed trade-worthy. And so that kind of boxes them in. Obviously, LeBron is LeBron, but Anthony Davis is considerably younger. If you're trying to build for the future, it would make no sense to get rid of him. Also, there's another complication. They don't own their pick this year, so as bad as they're going to be, where it ends up in the lottery, it might go to New Orleans, it might go to Portland, so that's another complication in terms of rebuild. But the big thing is, I think the thing that we can count on is there will be a change in the coaching, and let's just say perhaps the next coach is going to be just what the doctor ordered, and he winks into the camera.
Really?
Wow.
Really? Why are we doing that?
Why are we winking? Because
Yes.
I want you to listen to Basketball Illuminati, Basketball Illuminati,
No.
Basketball Illuminati. Say it 3 times to keep your third eye open, Dan.
Dr. Jack Ramsey?
Dr. J? My doctor?
Oh, wow.
Billy, what are you giggling about?
Hey, it's Billy in the kitchen. Naturally, the day before opening day, we have broken out into an argument of which team runs New York, the Mets or the Yankees. Doggy says it's time for the Mets to put up or shut up. Stephen A. is arguing on behalf of the Yankees. Then they started talking about which team is better. And Stephen A. was saying how he trusts the Yankees more and he trusts Garrett Cole. And then Doggy started screaming at him that he had just been ripping him the season before because of a game against the Red Sox, to which Stephen A. said, even a dead clock is wrong is right twice a day, which I don't think is the saying. Molly then started asking who has more money. And then Stephen A. was calling them second-class citizens. Then Doggy said this has always been an NL town and started talking about the Dodgers and the Giants. And then he proclaimed that the Mets have more
NL
sex
town.
appeal.
The Brooklyn Dodgers of the 1960s.
Evans Field?
Why is Stephen A. This seems threatening, though. Stephen A. is like moving his body past Molly into Mad Dog Russo, who was backing off, and now Stephen A. is just laughing at Chris Russo. Stugotz, you're a Mets fan.
Back to you.
Thank you, Billy.
Thanks, Bill.
I mean, thank you. Check out Cinephobe. Check out Basketball Illuminati. They are both worth your time, whether you like movies or just comedy, and whether you like to have your third eye open. Both of them are very popular podcasts.
I mean, I'm looking at the Sixers numbers here, and they're 13-6 when Harden and Embiid play together, and they're plus 15 as a duo. That doesn't really make much sense why you're so out on them.
Basketball Illuminati, you'll hear all the reasons. Also, 13-6, 18 of those 19 games were against the Knicks.
I love you not answering that question here and teasing it for your podcast.
I love him getting asked the question after Dan said bye to him.
Your brother-
Me and Stugotz were laughing. Well, I was laughing. I don't want to put this on Stugotz. But Dan was limping. I don't know. There's something about when people limp
Yeah.
that makes me laugh. Dan in particular.
I am.
What's going on with your ankle?
I am hobbled here in a way that you guys would have. I wish that I had the video for you of what happened to me yesterday, because if you'd seen it, you guys would all delight like you do when your friends are in terrible pain that make funny videos. Because
Paint a picture for us. You're good at this.
Yeah, well, it was embarrassing, and I thought of you all as I was on the ground writhing, okay? Because I thought to myself, you guys would have really enjoyed me just walking along in some grass. And I did not realize while walking my dog that a hole that was covered by some grass was there. And I hit the hole so hard with my ankle that I crumbled the way that a building does when it explodes in Las Vegas, where I don't take it off to the side. I just went straight down, like my body folded because I was so stunned by the misstep. I heard the crack, and I remember breaking my ankle as a child because I heard the crack. And I thought to myself as it was happening, like when you stub your toe and you wait for the brain to receive the signal, I'm on the ground. I've collapsed. My dog is now running in circles and knots around me, and I'm waiting for the pain to arrive to tell me that I've broken my ankle because I heard the sound, and it never did arrive. The pain never arrived, so I just sort of hobbled up. But
So you're fake limping today?
I am.
Right, yeah.
I just sprained my ankle. I did not break
Seems
my.
like you're overdoing it a bit, though.
like
still
yeah.
waiting for the pain? Or?
So you just lied there in the grass. Your ass was grass.
My ass was grass there as my dog. But you guys would have really enjoyed the video of that, of me just collapsing, because when I say I fell down, it wasn't off to the side or stumbling ahead. It's just my body breaking down in parts for me to fall straight down.
Did you get hurt? Like, we're confused. What happened?
Oh, I had to know. I had to ice all night and sleep with an elevated foot, and I'm
Little
I'm
rice?
limping.
Ooh,
Like,
elevated foot.
Little rice. Remember that?
Out
Little
of pain.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, like,
I'm limping. Like, why?
but
do
out
you...
of precaution or because of pain?
No,
They're still not-
I'm hurt.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I've got bruising and swelling on my ankle.
I've got you calling Mike to walk for you.
It was unpleasant to be around the dog, who does not care and was not interested in my suffering and was just sniffing excitedly. Because,
Is it not caring or like overly concerned?
No,
the dog doesn't
There was
care.
no concern.
No.
It was just delightful that I was now on the ground, which I rarely am. Oh, look, he wants to be in the piss and shit. He never wants to do this with me.
The dog was laughing at
I'm
you.
waiting for the pain to arrive, and the oblivious dog is just sort of nudging at me. But I've broken my ankle before. I don't know if my father remembers this. Do you remember me breaking? What are the details you remember, Poppy, about me breaking my ankle? I'm not sure if you passed out at the hospital or not. I think you might have.
Yeah, I remember it was during a soccer game or a soccer practice. That I think that what happened is that somebody hit you on your ankle and you just kind of broke. And I didn't realize that, and I was telling you to walk, and you walk a long
it
time
off.
with a broken ankle.
I walked to the
Rub some
car.
dirt
yeah,
on it,
he
yeah.
didn't
Drink some
think-
Gatorade.
I remember
Exactly.
that. Yeah,
It's so
vividly.
dramatic, this
Yeah,
guy. I mean,
yeah.
little
And I
slide tackle in soccer, very dangerous game.
Red card.
Two-footed
Red
stud
card.
showing.
Yeah.
Take anyone
Yeah.
out. Getting stuck in.
So I mean, it was not a good experience, for the entire family. We were worried about it later on. Your mother says, "You made him walk that long." I said, "Well, I didn't know he had a broken ankle." "Well, you should have known." I said, "Well, okay, fine."
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've been there before. The number of times I've been told to walk off serious injuries. I once tore my collarbone and was told to walk it off.
Yeah, that's what
No,
you
I'm
do.
sorry. Wait,
Yeah.
you broke my collarbone.
Doing
I'm
what?
sorry.
Taxes?
No.
Like, how did this happen?
Taxes.
He broke your collarbone doing taxes.
His own taxes.
That is what happened to him, Billy. It was weird. He just I was going to say I'm so late on my taxes, but Whittingham would never be late.
Ever.
He's just
He's 3 months early.
How do you have him doing this? How do you explain to me, Billy, what's happening? He's enraged at the government for taking 36%, and therefore he's pounding on something.
No, I think he throws his arm and he goes, "Oh, right off!" Oh. Pulls it. I feel bad for Poppy, honestly. It seems like this was more traumatic for him than you. Like, still, all these years later, he's feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I mean, you just have to be careful. That's all you got to do.
Terrible regret we brought up with my father. It was just meant to be a story that Stugotz and Chris were laughing at, which is the idea of why is Dan limping? Oh, it's even better. He just fell in a hole.
Yeah.
Just nothing sadder than somebody just
Falling in a
step
hole?
at a time. No,
Yeah.
like the limping.
Oh, the
like
limping
after
part of
the
it,
next
yeah.
day at work. Like you just see him walking down the hallway to the bathroom. It's just like, aw.
If you guys were there, how do you imagine you would have reacted to Dan falling into the hole? I mean, laughter,
I would have
helping him
expressed
out.
deep concern.
Oh, stop.
I was whimpering a bit on the floor. I was thinking about who's seen this, and clearly who's going to videotape this. Me. Somebody is going to shame me here as I just writhe around on the floor, because I was there a good 90 seconds on the floor, just sort of scared. Am I going to even be able to get back to where I was going? Because I don't know if this ankle works.
It sounds like nothing happened. Like you just tripped. I mean,
I'm
you're
more
really selling it today.
I'm more imagining, based off the way that you described it, like falling through a hole like Michael Jordan did in Looney Tunes or in Space Jam, where he's like
Yeah.
falling through and you're just like being transported to a different world by falling straight down.
It is just a sprained ankle.
The wheelchair is excessive.
Well, how do you know? Like, how do you know?
Well, because it's not broken, because I can put weight on it. I
yeah,
can move
you never
around.
know, though. It's a tricky game. I would get it checked out. I would
Yeah.
get an X-ray. Seriously, you
Little
never know, Dan.
CT scan, yeah.
Better safe than sorry.
Dude's like, I'd use a day for it.
You can do the show tomorrow, Stugotz.
Not tomorrow, though. Tomorrow I'm in Augusta.
Well, tomorrow, though, you could just sit in for me. I'll go and get my ankle checked because you care for me so much.
Masters Week. Perhaps you want to do that on Friday, okay? I mean, it's Masters Week. I'll be in Augusta tomorrow. I'm very much looking forward to this. Thank you for making it happen.
What are you going to promise? I didn't have anything to do with making it happen.
Well, yes, you did.
I mean, you wanted to go to the Masters.
Well, you're paying for it. I mean,
the company is paying for it.
Well, it's your company.
Filing it as work that you will say is not. We're going to get charged for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even though Saturday and Sunday we're not even on the air.
I only have Friday tickets. I am not. I want to watch Saturday and Sunday on the couch, so I am just going with my brother and my dad on Friday. We'll see about Thursday, but Friday we're going, and Saturday we fly home.
You might be denied if Tiger's playing and walking the course.
It's going to be tough to walk away
with Sunday, and you're not going to be there because you only got tickets to Friday. Is it because of a time thing, or Sunday's tickets are harder to get than Friday's tickets, or do you have tickets for all the days and you're leaving the Masters early?
I have an option to have tickets for all the days. It's going to be difficult to walk away if Tiger is indeed in contention after Friday's round. So I'll just kind of play it by ear, but I do love watching those final two rounds, moving day in the final round of the Masters.
He's not going to play it by ear. He's already decided he's coming to the couch, right?
Dangerous game.
Nobody I know plays it by ear more than
you're going to turn
My
down.
whole life has been played by ear. You're right,
and you're deaf, so
yeah, a lot of hair in that.
You're alleging here. You just pivoted into a lie right now. You have made your flight.
I haven't decided.
Has your flight been made?
My return flight has been made, but it could be changed. It can be.
He always buys one way. I learned this in Lake Tahoe. You buy one-way flights so that things can be easily maneuvered to whatever your schedule is. It's
I'm living by the seat of my pants, man. I mean, I'll figure it out.
But you've wanted to get all your life to the Masters. I just want to understand this.
Yeah.
To watch the Masters with your dad, to watch the Masters with your brother, a family event. And now there's the possibility that Tiger Woods is going to be playing on Saturday and Sunday, meaningful golf. But as of now, Stugotz is planning to watch that on his couch. You just said you wanted to watch that on your couch.
I enjoy watching Saturday and Sunday. The tournament means so much to me, and you can see all the action when you're watching on TV. You cannot do that at the tournament, as excited as I am to go to the tournament. But if Tiger is in contention on Friday, like in serious contention, not just make the cut, serious contention. He's in the lead. He's a shot or two off the lead. I'll have me, personally, I'll have a difficult time leaving that place.
It's just wild, your inability to commit, because we deal with it all the time. But even with the Masters, you're just like, I gotta have an out.
The tickets aren't free, guys.
No, I know, but it's just so wild that you like.
I mean, they are for me, but I mean, someone's got to pay for them. You know, I mean,
it's just wild.
What, I should commit through Sunday?
No, I'm just saying. I just would think if you got that opportunity, you'd be like, of course I'm going to that. But even you're like, maybe.
The only opportunity
you're maybeing the Masters.
I want to be clear. The only opportunity that was given to me, and I'm grateful for it, was Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday is going to be very costly, especially if Tiger's in contention. So I'll have to have a conversation with somebody. Yeah.
I'm alleging, Chris Cody, that there is no circumstance or story that's going to keep Stugotz away from his couch. That he's decided that, and he's going, in order to be consistent and try to convince you that he really cares about this deeply, he's going to throw a tapestry of lies around it that say, I really prefer it from my couch, or a good argument. It's better televised from the couch somehow than it is from what is supposed to be the most manicured, pristine place in the world that harkens back to a different time. And you're saying better to be at home watching Tiger where you can see it than in a crowd of 7 million people that cost $10,000 to follow him through, to Amen Corner.
I've been to golf tournaments. I've never been to this golf tournament. It's difficult to watch the golf when you're at the golf tournament. And so I am going to this one, and I'm excited about going to this one, not so much to watch the golf and the action, but to walk that course with my dad and my brother. That's the exciting part of it. I'll see if Tiger's in contention on Saturday and Sunday, but if he is, Dan, there will be 100,000 fans surrounding Tiger Woods.
I believe that Stugotz has arrived at the nostalgic part of aging where you take your dad to something thinking it's the most magical thing, and about 11 minutes is enough.
For my dad, certainly.
That you've dreamed of this all your life.
There's Amen Corner.
And,
Let's go.
Dad, let's leave early on the first flight out
This is
Friday.
it?
We got what we needed Thursday.
There's the bridge.
It's just, hey, look, this is magic. I got goosebumps. Okay, ready to go? Ready to wrap it up?
Seriously though,
About right.
I need you to bring me back one of those sandwiches. The pimento cheese sandwiches. I don't even know if it'll save. I'll pull a witty. I'll eat it 2 weeks later. I don't give a shit.
All right.
I've always heard about these things. They're
Yeah.
really cheap, apparently. I think it's like mayo, cheese, and
It's the
pimento.
best sandwich, yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to bring one back for you?
I'm 1,000. I will eat it on air on Monday.
Oh, but he's going to bring it back. He's not going to bring it back in like a Ziploc bag. He's going to bring it back in his pocket.
Of course.
Just, I'll eat it. If you bring one back, I don't care. Give a shit how it gets here. I will eat it.
You guys want some merch? I mean, Dan's buying.
Oh yeah.
Does the Masters have merch?
Yes,
the
yes, they
best
do.
merch ever.
I'll take a jacket.
Yeah.
How does that work? I would have assumed the Masters, the pristine golf course of the Masters, would harken back to an inexpensive time.
No, it's pricey.
No, that little flag. If you put
Yeah.
that little flag on any shirt, it's like $140.
I have a shirt that Old Money Charlie went a few years ago, and
Yes.
he charged me. I was like $75 for a shirt.
So Charlie was telling me, like, the food is cheap for a reason, so you spend money on the merch. That's what he was telling me. I mean, so I'll be spending money on both.
That goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the week, where it was like he was going to the Masters, like, "Hey, you guys want anything? Like, you guys want like a cool flag or like a cool
be a
polo
nice guy,
shirt
you know?
or whatever?" I was like, "Wow, yeah, like that's really nice." Like, I don't really care about the Masters because that was before I was a golf guy. But I was like, "Wow, like that, yeah, it seems like a nice little thing to
Then he
have
gave
a,
us a
a
bill.
memento." Yeah, then we got a bill at the end of it. He's like, "Oh, here's your flag. You got to send me this on Venmo." I was like, "Whoa, like." It costs like $60.
Gets back to that whole. It's like, why are you offering me merch?
It's a really nice
Like, if I'm
thing,
gonna have to
dude.
pay for it.
Yeah, and I didn't see any receipts or anything, so I'm just taking his word for it. There wasn't upcharging me. You know what I mean?
a grift. You believe that
Possibly.
Old Money Charlie bought you expensive merch and profited off it because you don't know what the upcharge is.
Well, I think he bought merchandise. I don't know how expensive it was to him. To me, it was quite pricey.
What's wrong with a little upcharge? I mean,
Did I just see Charlie? Do you guys enjoy, as many of us enjoy the suffering of our friends when it comes to sport? Charlie was shirtless courtside when North Carolina beat Duke somehow because Old Money Charlie's grandfather gets tickets to all the most amazing things. But then a couple nights later, he loses the national championship. How do you guys feel for Old Money Charlie?
I got an explanation. I don't think he was there for the championship game. I'm not sure, but I got an explanation as to why he was shirtless. And it was when Petey Pablo tells you to take your shirt off and twist around your head like a helicopter, you do it.
Yeah.
So that's what was
course.
going on there.
Of course. Of course, that's what was going on there. Charlie
I mean, you don't say no to Petey Pablo.
Charlie
Sure.
has the same week as Jim Nance every single year. It's unbelievable. He goes straight from the Final Four to Augusta in a private jet.
Do you think that Jim Nance is bilking his friends with overpriced merch that he brings back from the Masters?
I think that he gets some freebies, like some CBS Sports polos or whatever every year, and then he like asks, like, "Oh, you want this?" Or no, actually
charges him for
better
it.
from the Jim Nance collection, and everyone thinks like, "Oh, this is a gratis from old Jim." It's like, nope, not the case.